Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today, we are speaking with Darci Monet. Darci is an old friend of mine, and she is an intuitive vocal and mindset transformation specialist. And we have this odd connection in that I live in the town that Napoleon Dynamite was filmed in, and Darci was actually part of that movie. And I'm going to let her tell you the story later on in the podcast. But welcome, Darci. I'm so glad that you decided to join us. I've been wanting you on here for so long.
I know. That's my bad. I finally got off my rump and did what I needed to do to be on your lovely show. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. So tell us your story. How did you get into music? What's your background?
Oh, well, if you ask my mother, I was pretty much born singing. She likes to tell the story that when I was a baby, you know how babies cry when they wake up because they have no other way of letting you know they're awake and hungry. Apparently, I didn't cry when I woke up, but she'd hear me like singing. She'd come into the bedroom and I'd be like holding my toes and la 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 la. And so I pretty much came out singing. Around 10 years old, I started taking violin lessons to be in the school orchestra, and that was when schools had music programs in the public schools. Started violin. A few years later, I started to learn piano. And I've always sung, but begged for voice lessons the whole time. And Mom would be like, no, your vocal cords are still growing. No. I think pretty much she just didn't want to pay the money. But I finally wore her down. And at 16, we found a teacher and got me started. And then it was off to the races from there. That was the thing. That was my instrument, was my voice. So then college, then bands, then studio work, and then, the career. But that's how I got into music to start with.
And you live in LA, so you're kind of in the throes of all the happenings down there and
kind of, yeah,
stuff going on. So
you'd be surprised how much I don't leave my house, though. But anyway.
Who does anymore?
Yeah, right? I'm comfortable at home. Thank you. Sorry, I had interrupted you. What were you going to ask?
That's all right. So who are your customers? What kind of people do you help, and how do you help them?
Well, as a voice coach, because I've been kind of voice coaching off and on, helping friends out from my college days. But about 15 years ago, I actually was like, okay, this is going to be a job, a business. My favorite students to work with are people that have natural innate talent that need to learn how to wrangle that, need to learn how to control it. But I also seem to attract some broken little birds who have great talent, but they can't get out of their own dadgum way with their emotional issues or past trauma that they never released, or mindset, or just intimidation. They're super shy or whatever. People that need an encouraging person in their life to cheer them on to to step into this industry and really go for their dreams. So those are the people I love to work with the best, people who just, really, who are on a career path. And then I tend to be a little extra helpful with those who need a little more emotional help as well.
Yeah, I can see how that would be really necessary. You've got somebody who really is talented, but they're not really confident in their talent.
Mm-hmm. Or they're just lazy. I know people who are just like complaining all the time about how they're not making a living as a musician or out here an actor. As an actor everywhere you toss a rock. Right. But and they just complain about it, but they don't ever actually do anything about it. They won't invest in themselves. And I think that's part of the problem with a lot of people who have the never made it situation, is that they just weren't willing to take the steps they needed to take, whether it was healing themselves or whether it was just making some sacrifices financially to be able to invest in their career, so there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons people don't ever get there,
Used to be back in the day, people would just go to college and figure, oh, I went to college, therefore I have arrived, and the world is my oyster. And to some extent that was true, mainly from white males, but
yeah.
When women started going to college, suddenly that wasn't such a big deal. For something more than just to find a husband, because that was the thing in the 50s and early 60s, when you really just needed to find a guy that could support you, because you didn't have any other choices.
I went to a Baptist college, and that was a thing too. You went to get your MRS degree and start popping out kids. So that was very prevalent, even in the late 80s, early 90s when I was in school. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
No, it's a thing in the Christian communities where, you go and find your husband who's going to be a pastor somewhere. So you can be a pastor's wife, because it's a really big deal.
That was the terror of my life. I remember praying growing up. I grew up evangelical and just begging God, please don't call me to the mission field. Please don't call me to be a pastor's wife. I'll do anything else. Just please, none of those two things. And dodge that bullet. But by being a mouthy rock chick, I dodged that bullet. So
yeah. All I have to do is be kind of mouthy and
think about things, think out loud, and you're in big trouble. So But anyway,
yep, that's a thing. So we connected because I live in the town Napoleon Dynamite's filmed in. And you have a curious story about that movie. So why don't you share that?
It is curious indeed. So if you are familiar with the film, there's a scene early on in the movie. It's only like 2 or 3 scenes in, and it's the kids in the high school, and they have what's called the Happy Hands Club. And it's I don't think it's actually legit ASL, American Sign Language, but they're doing some kind of signing, and they're doing it to a song that was made famous by Bette Midler called The Rose. The thing is, it's not Bette singing it, it's me. Because for whatever reason, sometimes a filmmaker, they'll want to put a song in, and either they won't be able to get permission from the record label to use that particular performance, like Bette's performance specifically, or here's what happens a lot of times with the labels: when they don't want somebody to use their stuff, they'll quote an astronomical licensing fee that a little independent film couldn't possibly afford. So when that happens, sometimes they'll choose to license. They might have a list of my backup choices, but sometimes they're like, no, it needs to be this song. And so that's where I come in. They'll hire a no-name studio singer to come in and do a version of it, whether it's a sound-alike or not. I am not a sound-alike, and they'll do their own thing. So the issue with that whole thing, which should have been a really, really cool experience, is that the day we're recording it, I signed away my right to getting paid a full SAG day rate, recording session rate, because it was a film license. They went with this cheaper, just going to festivals and stuff, a film festival license. So I agreed to sing it for $100, not knowing, as you could possibly, that it would blow up like it did. The thing is, I did not sign away my rights to any residuals after the fact, nor did any of the actors in the film. All the actors made $1,000 to film the whole thing. But when the movie blew up, they negotiated some big paychecks for them. But unfortunately, I am not credited at the end of the film. Every piece of music and song that you hear in the film will say at the end of the film with the credits rolling, such and such song, written by so-and-so, publishing information, performed by so-and-so. Except mine says, The Rose, written by Amanda McBroom and whoever, sorry, I can't remember your name, publishing information, and then no performed by, it just is missing. So I never received credit, and because I wasn't a SAG member at the time, they didn't care. I filed a complaint with them, but they didn't care because I'm not a member. So never got credited, never got paid. And here we are 20 years later. Yeah.
Wow. I know the caterers really well. They got credit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every kid who walked across the camera in the high school scenes, their name, like there's literally a list of high schoolers and they're all there. So I just, and the musical director who hired me in the first place reached out to me multiple times to make sure he had my information correct, because he had to have it correct for all the SAG paperwork. He had to have it correct for when they started thinking about putting a CD soundtrack together. There was a rumor that maybe I'd be able to be on the soundtrack. The Rose isn't on the soundtrack at all. They just nixed it. And the thing is, this song is so memorable. There's no dialogue over it. It's just the kids doing their hands. And it's a huge moment that everybody remembers when I say, oh, that scene with the hands and the sign language. They're like, oh, my God. So it's stupid that it's not even on the soundtrack.
You sound just like her. I mean,
really?
I really thought it was her.
Wow.
All this time until you said, no, it's me. And you sent me over to YouTube to go listen to it. It was like, oh my cow.
Wow.
It is you.
That's funny because I don't hear it at all. My friends, of course, who have listened to me sing for years are like, you didn't even sound like her. I'm like, right? And I tried hard, but
no, you pulled it off. And for people
that
maybe it's just me and I have, tenure, but I've earned that one, honestly.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, I guess it's good that people, I guess the point is that people weren't, it wasn't noticeably different, but at the same time, like when the press all came out, they kept billing it as Bette Midler's The Rose. Like the way they worded it indicated that what the song was and how you would know it, but they never specifically say Bette Midler's singing it, but they never say that it's me. And nobody, to my knowledge, no corrections were ever made,
I think they just intimated that you were her, and they were trying to ride on her coattails.
They were trying to ride on that. Yeah, that's how I feel like it went about. I feel like they purposely made a decision at the end of the day that like, okay, we're going to leave her name out of this and we're going to try to ride, we're going to go use the loophole. And that's disgusting. That's not okay. And stories like mine are a dime a dozen in this city. And the unfortunate thing is that should have been everybody who was involved in that project, their careers seriously leveled up. Except for mine. So what should have launched me into a career as a steadily working studio vocalist, which is what I moved to Los Angeles for, it didn't. And that's part of the reason I ended up starting to coach, which thank God I love it. I also think that experience has made me, razor sharp. I'm always on the lookout for my own students. I'll be like, don't you sign that till I run my eyes over it. Don't you sign that. Get you a lawyer. I know a lawyer. I never let them just make decisions like that without being really clear on what they're getting into, because
It's so easy to get sucked along, especially in places like
very,
Los Angeles, where they're just like,
yeah.
there's people trying to take advantage of each other around every single corner. And
yeah. And it's hard to find people who are just really, truly good people that work in the industry, because even if they started out that way, if they reach a certain level of success, they forget where they came from. And not to be a negative Nancy, but I am a positive person in that there's plenty to go around. I really believe, like, part of the reason I didn't become Kelly Clarkson, basically she got my career, is kind of how I look at it. What I had planned for myself was very much the trajectory she ended up on. Most of it was like, this is part of it. The reality is the big break I needed didn't happen. But then I let that fester inside of me. I let that become an obstacle. I let that be an excuse for why this wasn't happening, that wasn't happening, that, well, if I'd been able to do this, then I could have done this, So I want to take responsibility for that too. I don't want to say that this town did it, because I don't want people listening to this who are maybe considering moving here to think that they can't make it, because you can. But that's really more about you as a human being and what your outlook is, what you're putting out there, because what you put out there comes right back to you. And I was putting out garbage, So it is what it is. But that said, if I may segue into the project I'm working on now.
Yeah, do that.
In the last few months, I decided to take that narrative back, that I was done being a victim of Jared Hess's production company, and his film. And I was going to be like, you know what? Because I wouldn't even talk about it for years. I wouldn't offer the information if somebody mentioned Napoleon Dynamite. I would never say, oh, by the way, did you know that's me singing the rose? I just wouldn't do it. I decided to start doing that, and I do now when it comes up. But I also decided that, okay, so every once in a blue moon, the diehard fan would figure out, I don't think that's really Bette Midler. And they'd go on a deep dive into the interwebs, and they'd find me, and they'd reach out and say, did you ever record? I figured out that this is actually you. Did you ever record a full version of that? And I would always have to say, no, we just did the little clip for the movie, just what we needed, and blah, blah, blah. Thanks for your interest, though. La, la, la. And I just decided to take this narrative back. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to record a full version of this song. And literally just this morning, I met with my one of my sometime students, former co-writer, longtime friend from college, Levi Kreis, who is a brilliant musician. Please look him up, and you're welcome. He and I came up with the arrangement this morning. And then one of my other students who grew up, like Napoleon Dynamite was a huge part of his childhood, and all his little bandmates, because they're younger millennials. He said, we want to play on that record for you. He goes, we would love to do this for you. This would be a big deal for us. Please let us do it. So they're going to do it and play on it. So I'm really excited. They're going on tour though, so we have to wait till November to really put it all together, but I feel really excited. And I'm going to hire a PR firm, and we're going to announce to the world, because next year, 2024, is the 20th anniversary of the film. So we're going to, as a 20th anniversary celebration, guess what? It's me. It was never Bette, that kind of thing. And I'm just going to try to get myself booked at events that they put on for it, to try to sing it live.
I wonder if you'll come to Preston. And if you do,
that would be so much fun.
I I'm like, oh, I wonder if they put her record in poppin' pins and Stokes and Big J Burgers. And the Big J Burger is actually in Richmond. It's down the road
Wow.
that's in the movie. But, a lot of those places are still here and businesses. And yeah.
Wow. Are you saying these businesses have like what, CDs in their stores or something?
They could.
Oh, because these days I'm like, I have no plans to print it up because nobody buys tangible music anymore. So
well, you
I'm
can have
probably
a
just going to
QR code
digitally
there
release
and they
it.
can
Yep.
scan it or something.
I'll call you to help me figure that out because I'm not that tech savvy. But yeah, so I'm really excited about it, and I had a little meltdown in my session with my friend Levi this morning because I feel myself releasing this and healing, releasing the bitterness and releasing the trauma of it. And I suspect that there's going to be a lot of unexpected, breaking of the dam as this moves on and this process happens. So I'm just really excited about it. But I am crowdsourcing this, if I may. And you can clip this out later if you want and don't feel it's appropriate. But I am crowdsourcing this to pay for this. It's going to probably cost about $3,000 for the recording, mastering, and then the PR blitz. And I need that by like mid-December. So look me up. Darci with an I, Monet, the painter, the artist. And get in touch with me if you would like to contribute to that. And I can send you the options to help with that. So my Venmo is at Darci Monet. Cash App is Darci Monet. And I have Zelle, but you got to get in touch with me personally for that. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll definitely put the links in the show notes. And
that'd be great. Yeah. I'll get you
I'm all about helping you, Darci, because it's just like, it's such an important connection to me. It's like, I don't know why, but every time I tell people I'm from Preston, Idaho, where Napoleon Dynamite was filmed, and the dojo was actually a Sunday school room for a Baptist church that I was teaching in.
Oh, wow.
So that was really fun.
That's funny. I just went down a rabbit hole looking at certain scenes, and the dojo scene came up. And it just cracked me up. It's a funny movie, but I haven't watched it in so long because I've been so bitter about it. But now I feel like I'm at a point where I'm like, I can watch this movie again now, I think,
There's just like so many parts of it that are just part of the town. I moved here the year after it was released.
Oh, okay.
So they were still doing tours and stuff like that when the tourists came to town, which was really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So when you're going to do this, how do you actually like promote a song? Like,
good question. Because when earlier in my career, I've put out 2 actual albums of my own, CDs. And the world was very different than the way things are. People still bought CDs or people would download stuff. Nowadays, like my twin nieces who are about to turn 17 next month, they own their entire music catalog is in their phones. Like they don't own any CDs. They actually have a turntable and they have some vinyl records. So I'm pretty excited to go shopping for their birthday and buy them some vinyl of stuff that they absolutely need to hear, like Heart and every other awesome 80s band that ever was. But
Fleetwood Mac.
I'm Fleetwood Mac for sure. Oh, I think they have Fleetwood Mac actually, because one of them, they're twins, and one of them takes lessons from me, and she just sang Silver Spring by Fleetwood Mac the other day.
I love it.
She's really connected to that. She was singing her little face off. It was so cute and sweet. But yeah, at the time, because I was unsigned, there were a lot of resources out there for independent artists. There was a big book called the Indie Bible, and it was updated every year, and it had a whole bunch of there's a whole section on radio stations that will play your stuff, and it might be independent radio stations, or it might be a unsigned music show for an hour once a week on whatever, all over the country and the world. Or there'd be a list of just a bunch of contact PR people who deal with just independent people. But that is changed. And now that people don't use anything tangible that they hold in their hands, like this book, this indie Bible, it's hard to keep up with it, I guess. So I don't really know. And I feel terrible. I never know what to tell my students about how to get started in this industry, because it's a completely different world. When I came out, you recorded stuff, you sold it at your shows. That's how you made your money. You sold CDs at your shows. Nowadays, you don't even make money off of downloads, because everything's on Spotify or Pandora or Sirius, and those three conglomerates continuously go to court and fight to pay less and less. And so you can't make money off of your streams. You can have 1 million downloads. Here's a good example. My friend Levi, who I mentioned earlier, we have a song that we wrote together that we kind of tongue-in-cheek call our quote hit, because it was a song we licensed all over the place. He's the artist on it, but I'm a co-writer. So we have several million downloads of his version of that song, and I ended up recording it later myself. Several million. I think in total I've been paid $30 over the course of time, the years, because it's fractions of a penny if you're the artist, and it's even more fractions of a penny if you're the songwriter publisher. So millions of downloads, people probably think, oh man, they're making, no, we're not, because it's not like buying CDs anymore.
I have an idea for you.
Okay, tell me, I'll take it.
I think if you could I think musicians that go on like YouTube and places like that, they make their money off of Google, honestly. They get enough followers that Google pays them through AdSense, and you can make a lot of money with AdSense. But if you go to TikTok,
or you get companies will reach out to you to represent them, and if you make a video every once in a while going, oh, this great mascara I use now, I'm not opposed to that. But that's basically the way now. You release a single. First of all, albums are dead. Mm-hmm. The whole concept of 10 songs in one spot is just dumb. You can't do it anymore. We're back to a single by single society. You release a single, and then you just promote the crap out of it on your social media, and you do videos of you singing it in the bathtub, or you do an official video, and then you cut that into pieces and you put it out there in little pieces and inundate the world with it. And you hope it goes viral, and then you can sell merchandise. Or then you get companies who will reach out and you make your money by what little the app will pay you, or what a company will pay you to partner with them and be an advertiser. And that's the way it goes now. And it's weird to me.
I wonder if there aren't any groups out there that are kind of fringy, but they have a movement going on YouTube or on TikTok or on some of these other platforms that you could reach out to, or Instagram, influencers or musicians, people that would like to play your song on their whatever. So you could start building, you either build your own channel or you
they do have, there are groups out there that will, for instance, one of my students just got herself involved in a group of people who on Spotify, they've created a playlist of all the musicians in the group, all their songs, and then they commit to playing it all the time so that it'll bump it up. The algorithm will put it out there, which is fine. And they've committed to, there are groups out there that you can pay that will get you listed on playlists. That are popular playlists, and that's one route to go. But again, that's money out. these other groups I was just mentioning, it's very time consuming, apparently, because they have rules. You have to play it this many times a week. You have to you have to comment, and you can leave comments and hearts and stuff like that. So it gets to be very time consuming. And, that's that issue. But there are people, there's stuff out there. But you really got to dig it up and commit to the time. And somebody like me, like maybe if you're in college and your whole life is nothing but this, for me in college, my whole life was nothing but music. So, might have been more feasible, but I got adulting I also have to do.
Adulting, I hate that.
It sucks. That's why I have this background. My house is too filthy to show you my house today, because I'm not adulting well this week. But yeah, that's a great
take
idea.
A break every now and then.
Yeah. But yeah, ideas are out there. So a lot of it too is just finding the time to find the ways and figure out the new way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
It's possible. I have great hope for you, and I can hardly wait for it to come out, because I think it's going to be really exciting.
Me too. And I feel like, this has got, everybody has heard of Napoleon Dynamite, even though it's 20 years old, people still remember it. And I feel like that's going to be my foot in the door. You know what I mean? That gets me the attention, obviously, is that it's not just Darci Monet releasing the next song she wrote, because who's Darci Monet? You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I'm hopeful that this will actually do something. And then,
and sometimes you do concerts on Facebook and Instagram and
yes,
TikTok.
I do. I have been doing simultaneous Facebook and TikTok, because I haven't quite figured out how to also do it on Instagram all at the same time. I literally will have a friend come and I'm TikToking on their phone, and then I'm Facebooking on my phone. So I know there's probably an app out there where I can stream simultaneously to all three. I just haven't found it yet. But yeah, I do Facebook Live concerts, because in this town also, it's so expensive to play live, because you got to pay your band, and then it's a $20 to get in the door for your friends, and then they have to buy 2 drinks or food, and then there's $15 to $20 parking. There's gas, which is already, it's like $100 night to ask my friends or supporters to come see me. And I don't want people who just need a blessing to miss out on that. So I got started doing Facebook Lives during lockdown, because there was nothing else to do. And I was like, well, now I've got a captive audience. Now you have to listen to me. And I just kept up with it, because it feeds my soul to do them and to fall back in love with singing again, which I had definitely fallen out of love with. And so it's really fun. So yeah, if you find me on the Facebooks and on the TikToks, I'm Darci Monet on TikTok. I am Darci Smith Monet on Facebook. But if you connect with me there, then you can definitely catch my lives.
And they are fun. I've really enjoyed watching them.
I appreciate that you have done so. Thank you very much.
So, Darci, is there one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
Oh, just stay true to yourself, no matter what you're doing. Know who you are. Find out who you are, what you believe in, what your passion is, and then keep doing that. Whether you decide to do it as your job, try to do it as your job, or just because you do it because you love to do it. I really believe that when you put something out there and you make a decision, I'm doing this, the universe conspires with you to make it happen and to build it up. And for a lot of people, that can become the difference between their hobby that they love and their career path. So I would say, know yourself, stay true to yourself, and just do what you love to do. And nothing but good can come of it.
So true. So true. And never know, the connections that you make along the way can like totally turn your life around 180 so that you're going in a direction that you never even thought was possible, but really the universe is good and does conspire to help us.
Well, that reminds me, the one of the guys from Napoleon Dynamite, he was the one that dated LaFonda. What was I can't Kip, I think his character's name was. He was the one that talked like this all the time. And because this film had here's an example. This is why I'm interrupting again. Here's an example of what it might not turn out the way you thought it was going to, but you're going to maybe find your passion in a different passion that works out for you. He was in this film, fabulous actor, but they didn't have a budget, obviously, and they needed to take stills on the set. That's part of the process of making films, taking just still shots. He was an amateur photographer, so he did it. What ended up happening is that out of these still shots, he got called by other films and companies to take photographs of him. So he's this photographer and has this huge career as a photographer, and he loves it. And it's all because of this little film that he was acting in. And he thought that's what he wanted to be when he grew up, but it took a different direction, and he's perfectly happy. So you never know, too. Be open to things that might curveball and still be just as much fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
And maybe your coaching is because you're supposed to be coaching and not a famous studio singer, because somebody out there is going to be famous because they ran into you.
That's the point. Yeah, that's it. I know I'm called to do this, and I'm perfectly happy with that. It's good.
Yeah, you're so good at it.
I try.
Thanks for joining me today, Darci. I really appreciate your time and your talent.
Thank you.
Just for being you. You're so cool.
Oh, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.